Hi, everyone. My name is Tyler, and it's my co-host Karen Maldonado, and we are
Hi.
here with Narcissist. I'm Asking for a Friend podcast, where we're here trying to help you deal with and navigate the relationships that you may have in your life that have been a little difficult. You believe that there's some narcissistic tendencies, and we want to be able to help you out. We do want you to know, though, that we are not a narcissist bashing session, so we do take it from a Christian perspective. We try to work through these issues through love and try to help you navigate your emotions and how to be able to deal with them in your marital relationships, whether it's a parent, with your child, whoever. We just want you to be able to be the healthiest self and the healthiest person you can be emotionally while you're going through those situations. Now, Karen, I definitely wanted to share, like, we've had, some people that have been in these relationships and say that, oh, they've been going back and forth with the person that they believe is a narcissist in their life, but then they just all of a sudden shower them with all this love and attention, and they just, like, do all these special things, maybe things that they've been asking for all along or for so long, and they're like finally like, oh my gosh, they're actually doing it, they're actually doing the things that I asked. So, Karen, hey, I want to ask you, is that a trap? Is that real when you're dealing with a person with those narcissistic tendencies, or they may actually have the narcissistic personality disorder? What is that exactly when you start to all of a sudden get showered with all these gifts and attention?
Right, right. Oftentimes, if it's a narcissist, oftentimes they do that when they know that they've gone a little too far and
Mm.
the person that they're with is at the end of their rope.
Mm.
So they watch and they see, because for the most part, we're talking about a narcissist that really wants to stay in the relationship.
Right.
There
Mhm.
are narcissists, many of them that actually have affairs and play
Yeah.
around and do the thing, but then they really don't want to leave their spouse. They just want to have their cake and eat it too.
Right.
So that's an example of some of the things that will go on, but there's many more. But
Right.
when the love bombing, which is what it's called, starts, it's the showering of all kinds of things that you've been asking them to do for a long time.
Please.
um, you know, that may very well be the narcissist saying, okay, I see that I'm making her or him reach their limit.
Yes.
And so now it's time to tweak it back a little bit. Get them back to where they're adoring me again and that
Mhm.
doing everything that they were doing before they got mad. And so that will happen. And so that's also called hoovering. The
Yes.
idea of love bombing is almost like
Yes.
vacuum to suck you back in. So they know that you're
Mm.
starting to, you know, think about ways to get out of this relationship or
Right.
avoid them or whatever. It might not
Mm.
be that they think that you're gonna leave them, but it might be that you're changing and you're getting harder with them and you're getting
Mm.
affirmed in how you feel. So they want to love bomb you to get you back into the weakened state that
Mm.
they'll start to, you know, do everything for them again and take care of their needs, make them number one again.
So it's a form of deception, really, is what it sounds like.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
Mm.
It is. And so then that's not with every narcissist. Remember, we talked about how there's
Yes.
many flavors of narcissism. That is a very common situation where there's love bombing that goes on. Um, and a part of it too, I think, is whether it's calculated or not, it's up to subconscious. The narcissist always wants to be unpredictable. They
Mm.
want to create confusion so that the person,
Yeah.
their victim, is kind of saying, "Now wait a minute. Last week he was really, really even evil toward me.
Right.
Right now he's being so sweet. This is so confusing to me." That's part of the game. That's part of what that drives them, into this
Oh,
state of, euphoria because wow,
yes.
I've got them now in the palm of my hand again. They're start
Wow.
to, fall back in love with me and fall for everything
Mhm.
that they fell for in the beginning. And
Right.
but once they get really comfortable with that, then I'm gonna have to pull the rug out from underneath them again. But we'll just let this go on for a little while because
Right.
I like seeing they want to see the joy for a little while so that
Yes.
see the contrast when they all around you.
They like to see that difference. Like, okay, you were one way, and then they rip the rug up from under you, and then now all of a sudden you're like,
Yeah.
because it adds to the confusion which they thrive off of. That fuels them, right?
Yes. Yes.
Ah.
So,
Hmm.
yeah, so you have to be smart to it, and you have to, if you know that this is what the person's doing, I would
Right.
even say for myself, I would call it out too. I would
Right.
say, I know what you're doing. You're love bombing me, and next week or the week after, it's just gonna look like it did last week.
Right.
So I'm not falling for it. And then, they might be like, what are you talking about? And this is your cycle. This is the cycle that you go through with your problem.
Oh, it's amazing that you said that, because they're doing all of that to put you in a state of confusion. They want to keep you on your toes. It gives them the advantage. Um, but in the end, they may even say to you like, "But aren't you supposed to be a Christian? You're supposed to forgive me. Like, what? Why are you even bringing this up? Why are you trying to attack me? Like, what do you say to a person when they're in that situation, when that person could be throwing, oh, well, you're supposed to be a Christian, you're supposed to be saved, and this is how you're treating me, and this is how you're,
Right.
coming back at me."
Well, one good question I would ask the person that's being victimized is he actually repentant? Or is she
Mm,
actually repentant? Is she sorry? Did she say she was sorry? Did he say he was sorry?
right,
Or is this just that they're trying to, because when they ask you questions like that, it's more
right,
confusion. They want to confuse you. Yeah, he's right. She's right. I'm supposed to be a Christian. I am
right,
supposed to forgive. Yeah, yeah. And so they try to take the things that you know to be true
right.
and use them against you. And if you're
Mm,
not quick on your feet, then they'll win the argument. And they're very good at that. So
wow.
yeah.
Ooh,
So then you've got to think to yourself, okay, that's a good question. Let me ask that question in my head here. Am I supposed to forgive him or her? Yes. But
right,
forgiving someone and having healthy boundaries are two different things.
yeah,
You can
right,
forgive someone that has victimized you,
right.
traumatized you, but you do not have to invite them back into your life.
That's right.
And so you can tell them that. You can say, "Oh yeah, I believe that a person that commits any sin against us, we should forgive because Jesus forgives.
Yeah,
We do not have to continue to have that person in our lives so they can continue to victimize us.
that's right.
So if
That.
that person is not willing to stop their poor behavior,
Mm-hmm.
then it's time to take control of your life and not let that person control your emotions anymore and make decisions that are going to be healthy for the individual that's being victimized.
Mm,
They may not see it as victimization and usually they don't. They're like, oh, what are you talking about? You're the victim. I'm the victim. I always got to put up with and then they try to
yeah,
more confusion. And that's when you have to say, stop swinging the spotlight.
right.
The
Swinging that.
problem is what you have done. And every time I try to talk about what you have done, you try to swing the spotlight over onto my reaction. Oh, you're
Right.
not forgiving. You're not a good Christian. Don't
Mm-hmm.
swing the spotlight anymore. Let's talk about your bad behavior and
Yeah.
let's settle that. Let's figure out, are you going to continue to treat me the way you've been treating me?
Mm,
Or are we going to go our separate ways? Because I will not continue to allow you to do what you do. So you
right.
have to decide. And so they're really good, but their arguments are really 3-year-old arguments. They're like little
Right.
3-year-olds will do the same thing. Like if mom walks into the room and there's two brothers and they've been playing and
Right.
one of them draws with markers on the white couch.
Mm, mm,
Who
mm.
did that?
Right.
One of them says he did. And he has the marker in his hands. He did it.
Right.
The one says, yeah, but he gave me the marker. So
Right. Mm,
they always swing the spotlight. When they're three, they
yeah.
always swing the spotlight because they don't want it on them. But that is a tactic that when you get to be 5, 6, 7, you have to stop doing that.
You have to stop doing that. Right.
Yeah. And if you're a grown man or a grown woman, you got to stop doing that. So
That's true.
Yeah, so but that is very, very common in narcissists. They do not want to stay focused on their poor behavior. They want to stay focused on everything that their victim does and everything that their
Mhm.
victim says and cause confusion because then a lot of times the
Mhm.
people that are their victims are people that are not quick on their feet,
Right.
not come up with an argument. They're not arguers, they're peaceful people. That's why they got sucked into this relationship in the first place.
Right.
They
Oh,
are narcissist bait. And
yeah.
so you got to get better at arguing. And if you're not a good arguer, you're gonna
Yeah.
wind up being in tears because you don't know how to stand up for yourself. And
Oof.
you have to learn to do that because they will continue to do this. And is there hope for the narcissist to change? There is
Right.
for some. And so I believe with Jesus, there's hope for everybody,
Yeah,
including mental
of
illness.
course.
So I would say, let it be a matter of prayer, but
Hmm.
got to start to see from that person a willingness to change and a willingness to see and look at themselves and their flaws. And if they're not willing to do that, then their life is going to be really hard. I mean, I know some narcissists that have such miserable lives because they are narcissists in every area of their life.
Mm.
So their family members, family members that are in relationship with them are in
Right.
relationship with them only because they're peacemakers and they really don't want the drama by having by standing up for themselves. They don't know how to stand up for themselves.
Right.
Ones that aren't going to put up with them anymore have already separated themselves.
They've already done it.
I know some that will go to the same birthday parties and the same things,
Yeah.
but they will not talk to the narcissist. And the narcissist knows, get away from me. That's really basically what they're saying. They,
Right.
you know, and so and it's a sad situation when that happens in a family. But those narcissists that have those family members that won't talk to them, they
Yeah.
they could have, okay, so maybe that person is divorced,
Right.
family parties, sees the ex-husband, sees the
Hmm.
ex-wife, whatever it is, sees the children that
Hmm.
their children that won't talk to them, and then
Mm.
their children that will talk to them, and they would never say it must be me because a common thread is everybody in this room has at one time or another told me that I'm too much in some way.
Right.
But
Right.
they always believe that it's individually each person is wrong. Each person is at fault. So
Mm.
they have a really hard time seeing their own faults, and it's like self-awareness is just lacking, like we said.
Yeah. Well, and to the person that's a targeted person, being a peacekeeper, you're not really doing yourself any favors. You may think in the moment, okay, I'm keeping the situation calm, but on the long term, it's not going to get any better. It's going to get worse because now you've just taught them, oh, okay, so all I got to do is throw a fit, and then they're going to want to keep the peace, and then they're going to keep things calm, and they're going to, you know what I mean? So it's like you just kind of almost could cause the cycle to continue.
Yes,
And the other part I wanted to point out with, well, Jesus, the blood of Jesus can cover anything, right? And you
yes,
can be healed and delivered.
absolutely.
But this is the key. There has to be a self-awareness part that you talked about. They have to be self-aware. And most narcissists, if not all, I think all of them are not, the self-awareness piece is not there. So
Yes,
then how do you get to a point of saying I need to be delivered of something if in your mind you don't think you need to be delivered of anything at all? You
right,
could be,
right,
it's, you know what I mean? It's like, so it's like, yes, with Jesus, we can do all things. And with God, yes, all things are possible. But if there is not a willing heart, if there is not a person that is willing, a repentant heart,
right.
that self-awareness that they need forgiveness, that
Yeah,
they need a savior, right? It's just not going to happen. So if you're in a relationship with someone and you see that, you have to make a decision at that point, right, Karen? Well, wouldn't you say it's on that person, like
you do, and I think that you make that decision with the Lord.
with the Lord?
You ask him to help you to know, in my situation, am I called to stay with this person and be
Right.
their person, even though they're abusive toward me? Um, And I mean, no one can tell you what you should do.
Right.
And and then for some people it might be that they would separate for a season and just so
Yeah.
that that person understands I'm not going to be with you until you do go for help because you're showing all the signs of narcissism and you need to get help.
Right.
There are some narcissists that do go for help. Some of them.
Right.
So those are the ones that there's hope for. The ones
Yeah.
are the ones that want their relationship so much that even if they don't believe that they are a narcissist, they're willing to go
Mm-hmm.
to get the help if indeed they are a narcissist. Like that's got to be their mindset. Okay,
Yes.
maybe I'm a narcissist. I don't think I am, but I'm going to go just so that we can have an expert tell me if I am, and then if they come up with whatever testing and tell me that I am, I'm
Mm-hmm.
willing to go through the therapy that I need to help with this so that I can stay in my relationship.
Right.
So that's a rare occurrence, though.
It is a rare occurrence, and we real with our viewers, right? Because hey, put me in the chat, or if you know this is happening to someone you love and care about, share this with them because this is something that they need to know. Sometimes maybe you've been trying to tell them the same exact thing that we're talking about, and they have not been listening. Share this podcast with them. Share it with as many people as possible because we have to get the word out. Because this, the way how the relationships go, as far as with the love bombing and everything else, it can be hard to really detect if you're not really thinking, on top of your feet. Because remember, they create so much confusion. They put you in a state of like just you don't even know left from right, up from down. You know what I mean? And that is where you are. So think about it. If you're in that state of mind, how are you really thinking clearly? Are
Right.
you really able to decipher things? Are you really able to discern things correctly or properly? And as you said, they're praying, right, about whether or not to stay with this person. I'm just going to be kind of blunt. Pray, but also read the word, because you're going to get the revelation through the scriptures. So you can pray all day, but without that word of God that you're reading and getting the revelation and letting God speak to you through that word, you're not going to get the right answer, because the enemy can twist a lot of things, in your prayers. If your mind isn't right and you don't have enough word in you, you're not going to be able to know, okay, what does God really want for my life?
Mm-hmm.
You
Right.
won't know unless you read the word. So,
Exactly. Read the word, go to church, hear messages.
your message.
Yeah.
Yeah. And don't be like, because sometimes this is the other thing, Karen. Sometimes the writing is on the wall, but then we are like, no, that's not, no, but this and that, and we start making excuses. But
Yeah.
all the signs are leading, hey,
Right.
this way, that way. I'm not telling you what to do, but I'm just saying sometimes it's very obvious. You get a lot of signs. You've had a pastor tell you, you've had your friend tell you, you've had your mom, your dad, your sister, your brother, even your dog, if he could talk, probably told you, and you're still not listening.
Right.
So, and I have to kind of get that way, because my heart breaks for people that are in these types of relationships and they find themselves stuck.
Yes.
And then they're dealing with all this pain, grief, they're crying, they got tears, their children are even seeing them go through this, and
Yes.
they're hurt. And I don't want that for you or your kids to see that.
Right. Right. And you don't want your kids to like okay, so if it's a mom with
Right.
children,
Yes.
daughters even, or sons, and they're watching this kind of behavior, you're teaching them that that's the type of behavior to accept. So
Hmm.
you've gotta, and so if it's sons, they're learning to be like that narcissist toward
Right.
women. And if it's daughters, they're learning to accept bad behavior from a man. So, but I've also seen it where the narcissist has affected the son. If the mom narcissist has affected the
Yes.
son, and
Yes.
dad narcissist has affected the daughter, where they become like that
Yes.
opposite gender parent. So it can happen all kinds of
Hmm.
ways. So you want to, you ask yourself, should I be putting up with this? When you have children, you have to ask, should we be putting up with this?
Right.
Affecting your kids in a negative way, and I'm sure it is, whether you see it or not. But, is it so bad that it's going to, really affect them as adults?
Yeah, because these kids learn what they live. They learn what they see. We're the
Yes.
example, and what they see in our households and living with us. They're like, oh, so this is how the world is. This is how you're supposed to do things. This is how you're supposed to treat
Right.
people. You don't want your daughter to think that, oh, this is how a man is supposed to treat me. You don't want your son to think, oh, this is the way how you're supposed to treat your wife or women. You
Right.
don't want that. So, if not doing it for you, do it for your kids. You got to, if you love your kids enough and so much, do it for them if you can't find the strength to do it for yourself.
Right, right. And we're not saying divorce, we're saying separate.
Right.
If it's abusive, separate.
Right.
In my mind, there's no question. If you're being abused, you separate.
That's right. That's right.
So,
Because sometimes getting away from that situation, and then you start to see, man, you start to see life differently. You start to experience things. You're like, wait a minute, I can actually think clearly now.
mhm.
And the separation is giving you enough time to get your thoughts to clear, so that you're not. It's almost like if someone's constantly brainwashing you. You can't think for yourself or think clearly if someone's constantly inputting messages, negative messages, telling you you're a piece of trash, you're nothing, you're not going to be anything without me. If you're hearing that every day, you're not going to become this positive, oh, I can do all things through Christ. Like, that's not going to happen because you're constantly hearing negativity dumped into your ears every single day. You
Yes.
have someone telling you you're nothing, or you're ugly, you're fat, or whatever. But
Mhm.
then when you're able to get away and you're not hearing all of that all the time, and then you start filling yourself with the word of God, and you're like, wow, it starts to change you, starts to transform you. Your thoughts, your mind is renewed,
Mhm. Absolutely. Very
and
good.
you'll know what to do.
Yep. Yep. You need that space. So, and in that space, it may be enough for the narcissist to make a decision that they need to do something if they still want the relationship and the family intact.
Exactly. Absolutely. Yes. It gives both of you time to think and get,
Yes.
things together, and see if this is something that's still going to work, for the family. But yeah, we always want to make sure that we are putting you in the best position emotionally, spiritually, in every way possible, because we want the best for you and for your kids. And even with the person that's the narcissist, like, they may not even be aware. You know what I'm saying? They're not aware of the things that they're doing, and they don't know. And I always, I think it's hard to do it in the moment. You have to kind of get away from it. But once you get separated from a person, there's nothing to say that you couldn't still pray for them. You know that they have these issues and these tendencies.
Mhm.
You can still pray for them. It says in the word to pray for your enemies, right? So even, or people that are acting like an enemy to you, right? So you can always do that, and approach it in a loving way. But remember, love yourself first. Love first. Yeah, putting
Yes.
that
Love
yourself right
first.
in the middle
Yep.
there, right? Yeah. I'm putting that in there because, oh my goodness, if you're seeing that you're not being respected and loved, you have to advocate and get that for yourself first.
Yes,
You have to.
absolutely. Very good.
Well, thank you, Karen. This has
Subject
been
matter.
great.
Yeah.
Any last final words to help the people, like with love bombing, not falling for the deception or the trap, or however you want to look at it, and just learning that, hey, I don't have to go through this little yo-yo situation anymore. Like, what do you have? Any final thoughts?
Well, if you feel like you're at the end of your rope with the love bombing cycle, that, first the abuse and the victimizations of different sorts, and then finally the love bombing, if that's a tendency and a thing that's happening in your situation, then I would say, have that conversation. It's a difficult conversation, but it's going to take courage. Have the difficult conversation and say, the cycle's going to stop.
Yes.
If you know you're at the end of your rope, but you still have a little bit in there that you can
Yeah.
give, then say, the good things that you're doing right now are very much appreciated. These are things that I've been asking you to do for me for a long time. If you can continue to be this, then we have hope for our relationship. But if you cannot continue to be what I'm seeing right now, then we are going to have to figure out what the future looks like for us. And that may be a hard conversation, because then they might become defensive, and
Mm-hmm.
but you want to stay brave in that conversation, because their rage oftentimes is the thing that causes the victim of narcissism to back off. Become a
Yes.
lion, you've got to be strong, and
That's right.
you've got to be head on with it. And when they start to get enraged because you insulted me by saying that, because that's what they act like then when you
Yeah.
point out their flaws,
Mm-hmm.
say, You can become enraged if you want to, but I can become just as enraged.
Exactly.
Remember that the things that I've been putting up with, I am no longer putting up with them. I appreciate the good things you're doing right now, but I'm letting you know, I'm giving you notice that these things better continue, and those things that happened last week should stop, and if they don't, I am not tolerating it anymore. I like you today, but I didn't like you then, and I haven't liked you for a good portion of our relationship. So
Right.
unless you figure out a way to be what you are right now, then we're gonna have more conversations that are gonna lead to our future. And what that looks like, I don't know, but right now, I know I'm at the end of my rope with it. So this being nice to me is a cycle. You drag me in, you suck me in, and then we're good for a couple of days, and then we get right back into your mistreatment of me, and I can't do that anymore.
That's right.
So
That's
it's best to get hard like that when they're being nice.
yes,
Because if you
exactly.
get hard with them when they're already being victimizing,
Right.
now you're starting at a higher level
Yeah,
of negativity already.
exactly.
Start with them when they're being nice. It's hard because you don't want to change that. When they're being nice, it's like you don't want to do anything to ruin it. But
Yeah.
you're at a point now where you're at the end of your rope. You've gotta start dealing with the situation.
What is it in the scripture? Why is the serpent gentle as a dove? Or am I saying it right? So
Yeah,
that
yeah.
is that wisdom that you're using. You don't wait until they're at that elevated, they're at that rage. You wait till they're like being nice and whatever. And it's like
Yes.
you're outfoxing the fox, right? So you're using that, oh, they're right at that moment. Now let me set that, what we call, my friend, a boundary.
Yes.
And that is where you get ahead of the game there. And then you can take control of the situation and then determine where you go from there.
Right. Boundaries are it.
Yes. Yes. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in, and we just appreciate you, and we want you to share it with a friend. Remember, don't keep this to yourself. Share the love, spread the love, share it with someone, tell someone else about it, like, comment, and even if you want to be on the show, you're hearing us talk about this stuff and you want to be on the show, hey, we more than welcome. We would love to have you with us so we can chat and talk about what's going on in your world. And just wanted to let you know, this is Narcissist, I'm Asking for a Friend podcast. My name is Tyler King, co-host Karen Maldonado, and we appreciate you. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Bye-bye.